Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Always a pleasure to host with you.
It is, God, my friend, and it's always good to be in your presence.
Great show today.
Yes, we're talking about some things going on in the healthcare profession. We have two dynamic ladies here that are going to give some information to the community, a resurgence of infant mortality information. We're going to utilize this show today to make sure that gets out in the community.
Yeah.
Talk about safe sleep, talk about some grant dollars that have been given to make some things happen in communities, and we're excited about that today.
And we need it.
Yeah, we got to have it.
Yeah, America is leading other countries with this issue of infant mortality.
Right.
And we certainly have to turn the corner on it and get things better.
And Indianapolis has a staggering rate as well. And this is why these ladies are here to inform us about that. And that's what we do here on Real People, Real Voices, is make sure the community has the information to react to the information that we give.
Yeah, and I was studying some of the maps on it across the nation, and it seemed like on the West Coast, the problem is not as bad, but the Midwest is just terrible.
Yeah, it's thick, very thick.
So maybe they can help us understand the differentiating factors between what's going on there and here. And we would like to encourage you to go to our YouTube page, WHMB TV 40, and subscribe so you can watch this show when it's over, as well as other shows when this one's over. We also want to thank our sponsors, Lee, Kossel, and Crowley.
Fervent Care Christian Academy, a great place to get your children started.
And you don't want to miss this very important telethon coming up and
Up and Over. Martin University is having its first annual telethon, and we hope you'll be a part of it. If you got some dreams, go to Martin University. They'll help you get them to come true.
Yeah, we're excited about it. 4 hours of information, entertainment, and raising a whole lot of money to make sure that a whole lot of people get an opportunity to go to school.
Get your money ready. I need at least $300,000 at this telethon.
Write the check.
Yeah, I wish I could.
We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. We're joined by Dr. Virginia Kane and Dr. Nancy Swagonski. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see you doctors here with us today.
It's always a pleasure getting a chance and opportunity to talk to one of the best shows in the nation.
Well, thank you.
Wow.
Thank the nation.
She makes us feel important. Thank you, Doc. So
You're certainly the best dressed
thank you so much.
commentator
Thank
in
you
the
very
nation.
much. We appreciate that.
And how do I follow that?
We got a serious issue today, ladies.
We do.
Dr. Nancy, Dr. Kane is going to help us. And what we're going to do is just turn over the information that you have for all of us to these cameras. Tell us about what's going on with the infant mortality rate, not only in the country, but basically right here in our community.
So first, let me just explain about infant mortality. It is the death of an infant or a baby before the age of 1. And we also use that indicator, infant mortality, as sort of the pulse of what's happening from overall health in the community. So if you're doing great by taking care of your babies, that transcends into better health for the entire community. Now, the national government says that our infant mortality rate should at least be overall 7 deaths per 1,000 babies. If you looked at Marion County's infant mortality rate, we're at 8.3, so higher than that 7. And usually across the nation, African-American babies have twice the infant mortality rates as their white counterparts. So our white infant mortality rate is 5.5, but our black infant mortality rate is at 12.6. So you see we're almost the same as the national rates that we're seeing here. And if we look at the Hispanic infant mortality rate, we're like at 6.8. So, but we want to at least get down to the 7 infant mortality rate. And so we have a lot of work that's cut out for us in terms of what we should do. Now, the state of Indiana, 1 baby dies every 14 hours.
Wow.
In the state of Indiana.
In the state of Indiana.
So that means There are 1 to 2 babies that are dying every day in Indiana.
So if you think about
yes,
it,
okay.
by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, on average, another baby will have died. You've got to make it real.
Right. Now in Marion County last year, we had at least 2 babies dying per week.
Wow.
In Marion County. So
what's contributing to that? You talked about it,
Yes.
the black, white, Hispanic, and black babies dying at a higher rate. What's the overall contributing factor, and then what is it with the black community that makes it higher?
So I want to say poverty is probably one of the greatest issues, and then what happens from the mom in terms of her health. And as a result of this, we have like, how do I say this? We have like a maternal and fetal infant mortality review team. It's a whole team of experts, almost from every hospital in different perspectives. And we've broken down those 2 teams into one, the subgroup is headed by Dr. Mary Pell Abernathy, and she looks at the maternal health issues. So if a mom's got diabetes, hypertension, she may have an opioid problem. She may have a mental health problem, and sometimes obesity can contribute to it. So they're looking at those issues. Our other group is headed by our own Dr. Nancy Swagonski,
Yes.
who looks at the safe sleep issue, which has been a critical problem that we see with our infant mortality, and hopefully you'll ask her some questions related to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole question, the leading cause of infant mortality is actually called perinatal risk, which includes lots of things, but primarily it's preterm birth. So babies born before 37 weeks gestation. And what's really interesting is if you look at our preterm birth rate over the past 3 decades in the United States, we haven't made much of a difference. We don't know really what causes those preterm births. Some of the theories that are really interesting, and the reason Dr. Kane said poverty, is that the leading theory actually has to do with stress and chronic stress in moms that then causes release of those fight or flight hormones that you may have heard about. The adrenaline and things, that your heart rate goes up.
Right.
When that's chronically elevated, that can cause health effects. And specifically in a pregnant woman, it changes something called prostaglandins, which affect the smooth muscle of the uterus and therefore would lead to preterm birth. So it's not quite proven yet, but it's certainly when people say, why do people in high-risk areas, why do some people say zip code is more important than genetic code? Where you live matters, and it's probably all related to, as Dr. Kane said, poverty and ongoing daily stress.
Wow, that's remarkable.
So we know in Indiana, there are like 29 zip codes in the state of Indiana that have where we're seeing the high-risk moms who are the highest.
29?
29 zip codes in the state of Indiana. But of those 29 high-risk zip codes where we're having the highest infant mortality rates, 13 of those zip codes are in Marion County.
Wow.
And that's amazing. And you indicated that there's some grant money
Yes.
that's going
So-
to help deal with this issue.
Right, so we've been very fortunate. We've had a federal grant called the Healthy Start Grant. And that Healthy Start Grant tries to go in those zip code areas that are the highest risk in Marion County, and we try to make a difference where we try to address several issues related to recurrent issues with our challenges with some of those moms in those areas. And that is, we do have a significant amount of depression. So you can have postpartum depression in a lot of our moms, and poverty can contribute to that. How am I going to pay my rent? Or I may not have food on the table for my children, my electricity. I come home and
No water.
There's no water. Well, no electricity either. I mean, my house is in the dark, and so things can just come overwhelming, and so that can lead to psychosis, and it may not be recognized till it's too late. So that's one major issue that we see. The other thing is we have a lot of resources in this community, but unfortunately, we're not always able to get the resources to the people who really need it. So a lot of these folks are unaware of the resources that are available to them, and so they don't know how to reach out for help, and so that's tremendous. And then I think the other key thing is that we just have to have a significant number of staff to address a lot of these social issues, these social determinants. So like the housing, how do I get a job if I need a job, but it's not the minimum wage. An average person here cannot make it on the minimum wage. You have to have the living wage.
Right.
And I just heard recently that it used to be the national average was $13 and something, but they're saying in Marion County, the living wage is $15 an hour. In order for someone to feel comfortable that they can have food on their table, they can pay their utilities, and they can have some form of transportation.
$15 an hour.
$15 an hour.
Yeah, and that number will probably
Go up.
as
Well, I hear
time
that
goes on.
Amazon is about to
Major move.
to make a raise. So, hello, hello out there. Okay.
How can people access your services?
So they can call 317-221-2000. 317-221-2000 and ask for maternal and child health.
We're going to
Great.
put that on the screen.
Yeah, we're going to make sure it's out in the community, and you're going to find out where to get these wraparound services at that will help you enforce some of the things that's going on as it relates to infant mortality in your own family. And
Now, just some little tips too is, smoking is a huge issue. It can lead to sudden infant deaths in our babies, and it can also create some issues in terms of preterm babies. So, whatever help we can get, we need help to help us stop the smoking, quit the smoking. It's just long enough to quit the smoking while you're pregnant would just be tremendous.
Yeah. And Dr. Swaganski is going to give us a demonstration.
oh, I can't wait to see this.
after the break.
About safe sleep.
Yes, they're going to
Yes.
show us how to get our babies to a point to have safe sleep. We're gonna have. This is a great show, you all. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. We're joined by Dr. Kane and Dr. Swaganski, and we're talking about infant mortality and safe sleep. I want to get right back to it.
Okay.
And some of the preventative measures people can take. One of the things we're talking about off air is pregnancy spacing.
Yes.
What is that?
So pregnancy spacing means that how quickly do you have your second child after you deliver your first child? And what we know is that if there's an 18-month gap, then they're less likely to be born premature.
Okay.
And we find out that a lot of these babies can have some delay problems if they're born. They may have higher risk for asthma. And so it's just really critical to try to delay and space out before you have your second child after your pregnancy.
And also prenatal care.
Yes, so really critical. We know for you to have a healthy baby, health outcome, you need at least 6 prenatal visits. But they have to start in the first trimester. What do women get? They get prenatal vitamins. So if you come in the second trimester, that baby is not getting the benefit of those critical vitamins that they need to have, that nourishment they need to have. And we're woefully low in our African American women or black mothers getting in the first trimester. So only 53% of our mothers are getting in the first trimester, compared to 75% for our white counterparts.
So that would lead us to the fact
They're not getting adequate visits. They may have a simple bladder infection that can contribute to their baby being born early. Just a simple bladder infection. But if you don't come, you don't get treated.
So we need to disseminate that information as well.
Just really critical. So they got to recognize it early. Second thing is we need to have our moms breastfeed.
Yeah.
So the Hispanic women oh my God, over 90% of them breastfeed.
And that's just healthier.
It's much healthier because they have the mother's antibodies. That's to protect that child, for his first year of life. And nothing beats that mother's antibodies in protecting that child. And so breastfeeding, Hispanics 90% do that.
Wow.
White
Counterparts.
are at 80%, but African American women are at 75%, and I know we can do better.
And
Now,
we lose the benefit of the intestinal flora that we really need
yes,
early on, all of
it's
us.
just tremendous. Now, one thing we do well is we don't have as high as smoking. Our smoking rates in black women is only 8%, but our white counterparts are smoking at 17%. So we're doing well in the smoking category, but we just gotta really brush it up on that breastfeeding and brush it up on getting into care.
And we want to get to the demonstration,
Right here.
but you talked about the program that Governor Holcomb
Yes.
is doing.
So one of the things I do want to make this announcement, and I think it is that our own Governor Eric Holcomb stated in his Indiana State of the Union address. I'm going to hold you accountable to this, Governor. That Indiana will be the best state in the Midwest for curbing infant mortality by 2024. But let me just say, he's already done one great thing. He picked a dynamic Indiana State Department of Health Commissioner, Dr. Christina
Heard of that.
Fox, to lead the charge. And she's a well-known, nationally known OBGYN doctor. No one better to lead the charge. So he done started it right. So we just all have to do our part to make this happen.
Thanks, Dr. King. Let's get to this illustration here with Dr. Nancy. She's going to give us some on safe sleep. Talk to us about safe sleep over there.
So we already talked about preterm birth is the most common cause of infant mortality, but also that we know there's a lot of things associated with it. Obesity, poor nutrition, not getting prenatal care, but we haven't really been able to make a large dent. Contrary to that, the most preventable, the most modifiable cause of infant mortality is related to unsafe sleep practices. So 1 out of 8 babies that dies from something called sudden unexpected infant death. And that's sleep-related deaths. So we need to do something about that prevention. In Marion County, about half of those babies that die from sleep-related death are literally asphyxiated or suffocated to death. So modifiable. And the demonstration really is we go around asking people to play our safe sleep game. And what we do is take a crib with a baby and we say, make the baby safe. And we especially love doing this with grandparents and also with the youth because we get some interesting things. So what is safe sleep? A baby is supposed to be alone, not with anything at all in the crib, on their back, and in a crib or otherwise like a bassinet or a pack and play, a safe sleep environment. So ABCs, alone, back, crib. So to make this baby safe, one of the things we have to do is start taking the junk out, right? Even the hat comes off. There's a pillow in here. We're going to get rid of the pillow. There's a little stuffed animal toy. No stuffed animals. No bumpers, only a flat, tight-fitting sheet. The one thing that is allowed to be in with the baby is a pacifier. After you've established breastfeeding, usually after 3 or 4 weeks, a baby can have a pacifier in bed, and in fact, it decreases the risk of sleep-related deaths. And then the baby should be on their back. So this is a safe baby. And some of the common mistakes that we see is especially with the grandmas who will look at that baby, look at all this stuff and go, oh, baby might be cold. And so they pick up the blanket and even though they know the ABCs, they put the blanket back on the baby. So as the weather's starting to get colder, one of the things we want people to be aware of are sleep sacks. So this is just a onesie. And I love this one because it says, if you can read this, turn me over. Shouldn't be able to read it. But there's sleep sacks that you can put babies in instead of blankets. And what we recommend is to keep warm that babies be layered. So you can put on their jammies or onesies, and then you put this on top. For babies who are under 3 months of age, if you want to swaddle them, there actually are sleepers that are specific for swaddling babies. And I'm going to see if I can do this while standing up.
And while you do that, Dr. Nancy, we got to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll be back right after this. Welcome back. We want to get right back to our demonstration. Dr. Nancy.
Go ahead, Doc.
So some babies, if they're fussy, like to be swaddled. And we used to do that with blankets. Swaddling is when you wrap them tight. And we now have sleep sacks that swaddle the baby. Put the arms inside and then wrap over the top. Babies who are swaddled, even a sleep sack, should only use the swaddling until 3 months of age. So you don't have to do this, but again, it's an option that you can do. So there are lots and lots of resources because, again, we have an infant mortality problem in Indiana. We're the 6th worst in the country. So there are lots of resources now being dedicated thanks to the Marion County Health Department and the State Department of Health. So if you need a safe place for your baby to sleep, if you need a sleep sack, or some of the great resources like the Sleep Safely Baby book, then you can call the Marion County Health Department, which Dr. Kane gave the number earlier, or you can call the Indiana State Department of Health Moms Hotline, which is 1-844-MCH-MOMS, or 1-844-624-6667.
Thanks, Dr. Nancy. Dr. Kane.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And thank you.